Hello, welcome to the Loop and Bar podcast. My name's Kate and I'm coming to you from North Wales in the UK. I nearly forgot where I was then. This is my podcast about knitting mainly, crochet, although I haven't done any crochet for a long time. I showed a little bit a while ago and then didn't do anything with that, so perhaps I will in the future. And some sewing. Mainly today I've got knitting-y things and a little bit of drawing to show you. So this is, if I haven't already said this, I can't remember if I've said it now, episode 23. It's been a few weeks since my last podcast. I got everything ready to podcast a little bit earlier this morning. It's a Thursday morning. It's about 9:30 Thursday morning. And I got everything ready, had it all set up, and then I was waiting. I've got an appointment for the bank to phone me at 9 o'clock to arrange a business account so that I can manage my Loop and Bar Etsy accounts in a separate account, which is quite exciting. This is one of my attempts to become a bit more organised. And so I'd arranged for the bank to give me a quick call so that they can set up that account for me. And I thought, well, I'll set up everything ready to podcast, and once I've taken the call from the bank, I can just sit down and start podcasting. And I sat and waited in front of my computer with my phone and all the things I needed ready to take the call. And then I looked at the little notes that I'd made, because I was thinking, the bank's not ringing, maybe they're a bit late. And then I realised that they're not going to ring me today, they're going to ring me tomorrow. I had written down Friday, but in my head I'd said Thursday. Or maybe I thought today was Friday, I'm not sure, I don't know. My routine's changed a little bit lately, because usually, up until now, on a Thursday, I would go off to work in the afternoon. I have two jobs that are not anything to do with Loop and Bar, because Loop and Bar, the Etsy shop, is kind of a job that I do at home. But I have two other jobs that I go out to. And one of those I did for a couple of hours on a Thursday afternoon, and decided recently to give that one up. It was a bit sad because the lady that I worked for is lovely, but after lots of thought, I decided to put more time into Loop and Bar. So I've given up my couple of hours of work on a Thursday afternoon, and I'm replacing it with working from home in here. In the Loop and Bar workroom or sewing room, craft room, whatever you like to call it. And I think because it's the first day that I'm not going to have to stop everything at 12, get some lunch and get ready to go out and do that work. Maybe I'm feeling that thing where you've got lots and lots of time and you're not sure anymore what to do with it, even though you've got a long list of things you want to do. Or maybe I'm feeling the thing where, because I know today's different now, it feels like it's a different day. Perhaps I feel as if it's, I don't know, a Monday because I have Mondays off, except I don't because I go to college on Monday. Except this week I didn't because it's been bank holiday. So that's why I don't know what day it is at the moment. So yes, you'll have to bear with me if I forget things and seem a little bit disorganised, because that's basically how I'm feeling at the moment. We've had a lovely week. It's been Avion's birthday and he turned 40. If you don't know and haven't seen the podcast before, Avion is who I live with. He's my lovely man. And he's had his 40th birthday, and after a lot of thought and deciding, we decided to go ahead and have a party for him. He decided he would like to have a party. So it was quite last minute, but we had a party in our local pub in the village, and it's a really fantastic community, and Avion's friends and family and lots of people from the village all came to the party. It was really full, the pub, and some of my family came up from my hometown, and we just had an absolutely brilliant time. We had a singer, he did some 50s, 60s, 80s music, which was literally just fabulous. I went all out and put high heels on and a dress, and we just had a fabulous time. I do remember, whether I ought to say this on the podcast or not, I don't know, but there was a point where I was rolling around on the floor. But that's only because at the end of the night I'd taken my Ugg boots with me because I knew we had to walk home from the pub. And so I had my Ugg boots with me, and I try as I might, after wearing my heels all night long and dancing for quite a few hours, I don't know what happened, but maybe my feet got swollen. Don't know how you say that, it sounds horrible however you say it. And a little bit sweaty, which is also really disgusting. But I could not get them into my Ugg boots, and I tried and tried. And I had to enlist the help of several people in the end. And I think at one point somebody was holding the boot and I was trying to push my foot into it, and I ended up pushing too hard and kind of rolling backwards and rolling around the floor, which was not very dignified, but we all laughed, and nobody cared at that time. It was something like 2 a.m, so I think, yeah, probably nobody remembers it apart from me, so that's great. Hopefully they don't. But we had a fabulous time, and Avion had a really lovely birthday. And then the weekend before that, because it's been a few weeks since my last podcast, as I think I've said, me and Avion we went for a nice, just one night away, kind of a weekend, but just staying over for one night, in an inn called the Old Cheshire Cheese Inn, which was fabulous, absolutely fabulous name for an inn, and it was a very old little stone building near Bakewell is Bakewell in Derbyshire? I think it is. I think the inn that we stayed was just in the next county, which I believe was Staffordshire. Could be wrong. And then we drove on the Sunday. We stayed in the inn on the Saturday night, and then we drove to Bakewell, which was about 10 minutes drive down the road, something like that. And that's over into Derbyshire, I believe. And then we did a 2-hour circular walk, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. What a lovely weekend we had. Just me and Avion. We had a little walk around a little town called Leek on the way up there, and we had some lunch at a nice pub, and then we arrived at the inn and checked in, and it was sort of nearly tea time by that time, so we had tea and a few drinks in the pub. It was just really, really relaxing. I took my knitting, so I had some knitting to do. Evian watched some snooker. It was just getting away for the weekend, really, a bit of a change of scene. And then the walk we did the next day was just perfect, absolutely perfect. It's beautiful countryside around Derbyshire. So basically the walk we did sort of circled, it was a circular walk kind of above, quite near to Bakewell, so you could look down on the grounds of Chatsworth House from where we were. And it was just, it was lovely. I didn't get any photographs because I'm rubbish at that, so I can't show you any of it, unfortunately. I don't know why I didn't take my camera, come to think of it. Yeah, I'm not very good at remembering to take my camera places, so. But we've had a lovely couple of weeks doing lots of lovely things. I've been busy in the garden because, of course, spring is in absolutely full swing now. I think where we live, because it's slightly cooler, spring lasts a really long time, which is absolutely just brilliant because I love it. I love the spring. I'm taking a lot of joy in just walking with Charlie, having the windows open in the house and hearing the birds singing. We heard the cuckoo yesterday or the day before for the first time, and we always listen out for the first call of the cuckoo for the year. So that's just started in the last few days, which is a really lovely sound. And I think it's the male cuckoo that makes the sound. I'm sure I've read that. So he's way over the other side of the farm somewhere. We haven't seen him, but we can hear him in the distance. And very, very exciting for me. I watch out for them every year. I think you probably think I'm going to say swallows. Yes, they've arrived. They've just started arriving, but the red starts have arrived in my garden. I'm quite eagerly waiting to see where they're going to nest because I've seen them hopping from the fence posts, and I've seen them, the male and the female, both of them. It was the female I spotted first, which was unusual because she's not as brightly marked as the male. But I just saw her little tail flashing on the fence, and I thought, that's not a robin, that's the redstart. And then I saw the male. So they're such a welcome sight, and I need to get a pair of binoculars so I can watch them more closely, because I think it's hard to have a favourite because they're all beautiful, but they're so exciting to me because I'd never seen a redstart before I'd moved to Wales, and the fact that they come every spring, and usually they nest somewhere where I can watch out of my bedroom window or out of the kitchen window. They pretty much nest right outside my kitchen, so I'm just seeing where they're going to choose to nest. They've been investigating a few holes in the walls of the outbuildings and in the eaves of the outbuildings, so I'm going to sit maybe a bit later on or over the weekend and spend some time and just watch and see where it is they're going into. So that's really exciting. It's warming up. I've been doing some gardening. I have managed to prepare a small plot just out there. There's the window that looks out onto my garden, and if I look out the window I can see my little vegetable plot. And I've put in 2 courgette plants, some dwarf beans and French beans, that is, and some lettuce leaves, salad leaves, mixed salad leaves for Avion because he likes to have those fresh in his sandwiches every day. And in the greenhouse, that's been all cleaned out. The guinea pigs have moved out and into their summer outside residence, and they are loving it. They've got really fat on the grass. So the greenhouse is now free, and I've got 2 strawberry plants and a tomato plant and a pepper plant in there. So fingers crossed that all of that goes well. I'll keep you updated. Oh, and on that note, I will start showing you some knitting in a second. I'm aware I've just talked for ages and ages and haven't shown you anything yet. But quickly just thinking about gardening. In the Ravelry group, so there is a Loop and Bar Ravelry group if you want to go and have a look and join in. We've got the Knit Lounge, which is the main place to go and talk about, to say hello, meet new friends, talk about knitting, crochet, sewing if you want to, whatever craft you're doing, anything really, but that's the main sort of place to go and talk and show us your knitting and your projects and just have a chat or just come and see what other people are doing. But I should say Frances, because it wasn't me, it was Frances's idea, and it was a brilliant idea. She has opened up Frances is somebody in our Ravelry group. Hi Frances! She's opened up the garden shed thread. So if you are interested in gardening or want to have a look at what other people do in their gardens, or want to join in and show us what you're doing in your garden, we've got a garden shed thread in the Loop and Bar Ravelry group. So you're welcome to share that, anything to do with your garden or houseplants or flowers, anything horticultural, come over to that thread if you want to, and or anything especially as well to do with wildlife in your garden. I really love spotting wildlife. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for things like hedgehogs, because I know we've got some hedgehogs living on the farm, out around and about, so I'd like to try and maybe get some footage, but I'll have to go out at dusk for that. And I did see a badger a few weeks ago. Driving back from my knitting class, I drove onto the estate because the house that we live in is on a farm estate, which doesn't belong to us, but we live here because of Vivian's job. So I have to drive past a really lovely big manor house, down a sort of big tree-lined driveway, in order to get onto the farm and up the track where our house is. And I was coming up that the other night, and it was dark because it was after knitting, and lo and behold, I saw my first ever badger live, I will point out, because I've seen badgers before, but unfortunately on the roadside. But this is the first time I've seen a live badger, live and well, hopping around, just on the grass, in the woods, and it was really exciting. So I don't know if I'll do it, but I'd like to think that I will go out with my coat on at dusk and see if I can spot the badger again at some point. Right, I'm going to dive in and show you some knitting, because dive in is a silly word to use because I've already talked for 10 minutes without showing you anything. So I've got some knitting to show you. First of all, I think I want to talk about the project that's in this bag. This is one of the bags I made, and I've been selling these in my shop. Made of the absolutely gorgeous heartwood fabric. And this is one that I kept, and I'm so pleased I did, because very sad news, they're actually discontinuing this range of fabric. Why? I don't know why, because I've been sewing beautiful bags with them and people love them, and I've still got a few to make up to put in the shop, but I think once they've gone, that's it. So I just thought, yeah, I'll just throw that in there. I don't know why I've gone off at a tangent there with that one, but anyway, I'm so glad I kept this one. There's my heartwood loop and bar bag. I haven't got, I'm going to say, no, do you know what, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say, so I'm going to say it. I was going to say, I haven't got the mirror behind my camera, so I can't see what I'm showing you, so I don't know if you can see it or not. So there we go. I say it every episode, don't I? So you may or may not be able to see the things that I'm showing you. Let's just hope. Right, the thing that I want to show you and talk about first, because I feel like this is going to be a bit of a therapeutic talk for me. It's the Andrea shawl. When I first cast this on, I so badly wanted this shawl. It's so beautiful. I think it went really beautifully with the yarn. I was really pleased with how it was going. But I've made a decision to actually, I think, pull it back completely, just rip it all out, and maybe not even knit it. But I'll show you what I've done so far, and this is with some pulled back. Okay, so I've taken it off the needles. So if I just hold it up like that, hopefully you can see some of it. I'll stretch it out a bit. I don't know where to start talking about it and why I feel as if it's gone wrong. Actually, the main and the first thing to say is it doesn't look as if it's too small. It looks quite large, but it's too small. So I think if I wrap it round, and obviously it's not finished, so I suppose it would hang about there because there would be a lot more knitting. There's a lot more knitting to come up this way, which would make it into a triangular shaped shawl. So bearing that in mind, let's say that would be hanging probably around about there, I guess. I haven't got very much left to bring around my neck. And after reading a few of the notes on this shawl, I think a lot of other people who've knitted it found that it was quite small. Totally not a fault. It's not a fault of the pattern, because I think it's designed to be a small shawl. But I think what I need is, I would like my shawl to be longer and for these bits to come down a lot longer, because a lot further down, because I just know through experience of wearing a shawl that's a similar size to this, that it often kind of unwinds itself and comes undone. Now I've got it around my neck, I really like it, even though it's not finished. I'm not sure if this is a fully made decision yet. But I'll start from the beginning a little bit, because I have showed this before, but not for a very long time, so you either may have forgotten, or if you're new to the podcast you might not know about this anyway. So it's the Andrea's Shawl by Kirsten or Kristen, let me just check the name, Kapoor, and it is a beautiful shawl. There's some really lovely examples of it on Ravelry. I'll just check her name so I don't get it. Kirsten Kapoor, I think that's how you say it. It's an absolutely gorgeous shawl, and what really attracted me to it was this beautiful lace border. I think it's absolutely so stunning, it's so gorgeous. When I first knit it, cast it on, the first one I made was a lot shorter than this, and I quickly realised that was going to be way too short, wouldn't even wrap around me. And that's mainly because, a total fault of mine, I was knitting it on yarn and needles that were a lot smaller than the suggested size for the pattern, so of course it was going to produce a much smaller garment, which I didn't quite get to grips with. I didn't quite, it really only clicked once I'd knitted a certain amount and realised it wasn't going around my neck. So after that I pulled it all out and I added on another half of the length on top, so I ended up with 1.5 times the amount, the length of shawl, and this is the result of that. Which at first I thought was fine, especially when it was all bunched up on the needles, because I thought, well, it's going to be a lot longer once it's off the needles, it's going to be really massive. Anyway, roll forward a little bit more. I keep knitting happily on it, thinking, yes, this is just the right size, it's going to be brilliant. Then I got past the lace bit here, you knit all of this bit first, and started on the pattern. It's stocking stitch here, there's no texture stitch for this part. But I decided, because I was only using one colour as opposed to striping the yarn, which is suggested I think in the pattern, I decided I might want to add in a bit of texture by way of some eyelets. So that's what I've done there, just to make it look a little bit more interesting for me, and make it a little bit more interesting to knit as well, because I think I wanted, maybe I didn't want to go backwards and forwards doing lots of stocking stitch, but I don't know why, because I don't really mind doing that. So I think my decision making was starting to go off the rails at that point. Then, because I'd left it for so long, at this point here, I'd got to here, here really, where the first eyelet is, I'd got to that point there. That's when I decided to add in some texture, and it had sat in my bag for a long time, months really, and I'd unclicked the needles because they're detachable needles to use on something else. So I quickly grabbed this project one day, thinking, right, I'm going to start that again. Grabbed the needles that I thought were the right needles, clicked them on, knitted away for an inch or two, added some eyelets in, which I didn't even calculate properly, so they're a bit wonky, which was also another little thing that went wrong, because I didn't plan it properly. And I realised after a few inches that something was wrong. And what I had done is I had put needles on that were too large. I think I'd put a whole size up or a half size up. And I think with blocking it wouldn't be too obvious, but to be honest with you, I don't think I can live with it. Normally, if I've made a small mistake in something and it's not that obvious, I don't really mind. I'm not too bothered, but for some reason I can't get past it. The gauge is such a lot bigger above the eyelets than below the eyelets. I don't know if you can tell if I hold it up. You might not be able to see it on the camera, but it's very, very apparent to me, definitely. So that couple, and of course I could just pull it back and knit it on the right size needles. But I've pulled the shawl back several times already because of sizing issues, and And the fact that I think if I do that and then knit and then carry on and knit all of that stocking stitch, and also I don't think I was very happy with the eyelets. I just can't decide what to do about that piece here. I think what I need is some detail, but I need it to be given to me rather than for me to have to try and make it up, because I'm just not very good at deciding what to do. So that, coupled with the fact that, you know, once it's fully knit, I mean, if I do that, it'll go around my neck. If I just want a scarf, I could just cast it off now. Ooh, it's not too much of a bad idea. Maybe I could do that. I just tried to look in the mirror, but that's not the mirror, my iMac. That's not going to work. Apple Mac. I haven't got an iMac. Why do I call it an iMac? It's an Apple Mac. You see, I think I only have to just be in the presence of this scarf, stroke shawl, and all of my decision-making capabilities just literally fly out of the window, and I can't think straight, which is what just happened there. I think you just witnessed it. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Help. What shall I do? I definitely need to pull it back as far as the eyelets and make a decision. Do I include them or not? And then obviously knit it on the right size needles, or do I just pull the whole thing back and find a completely new pattern? Because I really want to do the Whispering Pines by Molly of the Homespun House. I don't know. But I don't want this, the one thing I do know is I do not want this project sitting for another few months just on standby. I want it to come to some kind of conclusion, one way or another. So I actually quite like it now. I've got it around my neck. Could it work as a scarf, do you think? Maybe it could, like a lightweight spring scarf. The other thing was, as well, this yarn is so beautiful. It's the Uncommon Thread. I got it online, but it's from Loop of London. What is it? Loop in London. Beautiful little yarn shop, and it's a hand-dyed indie-dyed yarn. I think I'm going to sneeze. No, it's gone. Sorry. It's okay, the sneeze has gone. Phew. It's a hand-dyed yarn by the Uncommon Thread, and I think it might be Blue Face Leicester, but I've completely forgotten because I haven't got the label with me anymore. I don't even know where that's gone. You can still get it though, so if you look on the Loop website and look for the Uncommon Thread, it's Blue Face Leicester singles. I love the yarn, I love the colour. I'm sort of thinking I might like to do another featherweight, but I've only got 2 skeins of it, so it's not enough to do a full featherweight, although I could do the edges in the leftover of that yarn, thinking about it. That might work well together. I've probably got enough if I knit the featherweight with this and then do the cuffs and the collar in this. I've got enough of that left from knitting this featherweight. Anyway, that's why I haven't got very far with this, because I keep doing it wrong. See, I've just pulled some more out. That needs to be pulled out anyway. And then not being able to decide what to do, but it is so lovely. I could do with some help deciding with that. Just tell me what you think. I can't carry on, I can't just put it back on the needles and knit it. I will have to pull it. I'm back. The camera stopped recording. I don't know why I have to say that every time, because I think you know by now that's what happens. I just talk and then the camera stops recording. Okay, so we're back on. I was talking about, we went to Australia in February, which I talked all about in the last episode, and I talked about the fact that I met up with Shara from the What Shara Made podcast, which was really loads and loads of fun. We had a lovely lunch together and she gave me the most beautiful gift. And then as I was telling you all about that in the last episode, I said I will show you that in a little while, and then I totally forgot to show you it. So this is the beautiful yarn that Shara gave me when we met up in Australia. Oops. I'll move the label so you can see the yarn first of all. It's absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. It's just up my street. This colourway is beautiful. Maybe I've got it too close. I'll try doing that just in case. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's so squishy and it's so soft. It sort of reminds me of kind of lovely ice cream. So, the yarn is by Rosehip Island. And I don't know why I want to say Rosehip Knits though. Maybe that's her podcast. On Instagram she's Rosehip Chick. She has an Etsy shop, so it's rosehipisland.etsy.com. I'll just try and hold that there so that you can see the information hopefully. There's Charlie doing a big growl as she's getting comfy there. I don't know if you could see that. I'll just do it a bit closer just in case. I'm not sure if I can hold it still enough. You may or may not have seen the information there. But it's rosehipisland.etsy.com, and this yarn is called Fairy Lights. I think that's the colourway. And it's wool, bamboo and silk. And it's a sock blend, so it's 75% merino wool, 20% bamboo and 5% silk, which is why it is so beautifully, beautifully soft. Oh, it's gorgeous. And it's a beautiful, quite chunky weight, so I think that I'm going to keep this safe probably until the autumn, I'm thinking, if I decide to make socks with it. But there's some beautiful, beautiful colours in there. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I really love it. And I've been keeping it really safe since I did my last podcast, because as soon as I stopped recording my last podcast, I realised I hadn't shown it, which I felt awful about. So sorry, Shara, and thank you so much, Shara. This is absolutely beautiful. It was a lovely surprise to be given this. So that's going to go in my treasured stash. And there may well be something that I might make with it a little bit further on in the year. It's either going to be that or it's going to be socks for me in the autumn. So I shall look forward to using that. It's gorgeous. It's so lovely to have something in your stash that you can just kind of pick up every so often and look at it and think, yes, I know what I'm going to make with that and when I'm going to make it. And it's just really exciting to be able to just treasure some of your yarn, isn't it, and not dive straight into it. Just pop that there safely. I've had quite a bit of post. I've got a couple of other things to show you actually. I think I'll do that now because I don't want to run the risk of saying I'll show you later and then forgetting, which is what I did on my last podcast. So I'll very quickly show you. I had a lovely message from a very, very lovely lady through Ravelry, and I don't know how to pronounce your name. I should have asked it. What I meant to do was message you on Ravelry and say, how do I actually pronounce your name? I'm going to put it here. I don't know where it's going to be on the screen. I'll put it on the screen somewhere. My best guess, using British phonics, would be Stamatia, but that might be completely wrong. So I'm going to just write your name here. And I got such a lovely message from you, and Stamatia said that she would like to send me some fabric in the post, something that she had bought a long time ago and then hadn't got the courage to actually do anything with it, or the time I think as well. Hadn't been able to use it, so it's been sitting, and I think she's been treasuring it but not really been able to use it. And so I said that would be lovely if she wanted to send it to me to see if I would like to do anything with it. So I said, yes please, that would be absolutely lovely. And when it arrived in the post, it was not alone. There were a couple of other things in the box, which was amazing. So I'll show you the fabric first. It's the most beautiful colour of teal blue, and this colour is one of the colours that suits me the most for my skin tone, so I just thought it was beautiful when it arrived. And it's got the most lovely embroidered flowers on it. So I'll just hold it up quite far back, so hopefully you can see give you some detail. But hopefully at least you'll just be able to see the gorgeous colours. So this is the fabric folded over, and so that's one side of the fabric. And then it's kind of folded over here. There's a folded edge. So on the other side, or on the sort of top half if you like, which is folded down here, is a slightly more simple embroidered flower. And so what I'm thinking is, and it's a really beautiful cotton, it's quite a nice lightweight sort of very, very soft cotton. And I suppose I could show it this way to you so you get the picture. But if, and this is obviously sideways, but the two motifs kind of go head to head, if you like. So one idea that I thought would be quite nice, maybe a skirt in this, maybe folded. If I were to, I don't even want to say the word cut when I'm holding this fabric, it seems wrong, but I'm wondering if I were to cut the fabric up this fold and then use one as the front, one side as the front and one side as the back, and make a gathered skirt, summer skirt maybe for it, with it. That's certainly something that would suit me in terms of colour, so I'm going to have a think about that. I think I'll take my time to decide, because it's very precious fabric and it's a lovely, lovely gift. But definitely that's one thing I think that could work with it. If anybody else had any other ideas, because of the fact that the motifs lay head to head, I think it would involve actually separating the fabric into two pieces and using it that way. So I would welcome any ideas, but so far I'm thinking that it would make quite a lovely skirt for the summer. I'll just put that safely there. That can go in my fabric stash to be treasured for a little while I have a little think about it. And the other thing, actually, she sent me some beautiful little seeds as well, little confetti seeds, which are going to go in my garden. I've got a trough, and I think that might be where I'm going to put them. Last year I attempted to grow some salad leaves in it, but no, actually, it worked quite well. And in previous years I've had things like lobelia sort of trailing down the front of this trough. It's an old farm aluminium water trough, and it's just out there with the rest of my garden out the window. And it's empty at the moment, so I have got some garden compost, multi-purpose compost that I bought just at the weekend, so I'm going to top it up, and I think maybe later today or maybe this weekend scatter those seeds. And it says on the packet that they're wildflower seeds. There isn't any picture on the packet, so it's going to be a lovely surprise to see what comes up. But the other thing that was in that box, totally amazing, was not expecting this at all, oh, label's coming off, was this beautiful, beautiful skein of yarn. And I've wanted to try this actually for quite a while. I'll just take the label off and show it to you. It's Drops Lace. It's a wonderful mix of baby alpaca and mulberry silk. So I've been really spoiled because I've got all this beautiful yarn with all this lovely silk content. It's coming untwisted. Hang on, let me just retwist it. Because yarn looks just the most yummy, yummy, yummy when it's in its twisted up skein form, doesn't it? I'm not very good at this. There we go. I've made a bit of a hash of it, but anyway, it's still in quite a neat skein. So there's the yarn. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't tell you how soft this yarn is, and the colour is amazing. And I have got, because I was sent, although it's a completely different colourway, I've got several skeins of lace yarn in my stash now, and I more and more am enjoying working with fine weight yarn. So I've been thinking that there is a project that I would really like to do. It would be a project that I might start quite soon, because it's going to take a long time, especially if I'm going to use lace. I may well use this for it, because I'm just going to feel it on my skin. It has to be extremely soft because it's something that I would wear against my skin. I won't go into too much detail about the idea because I'll tell you if I do a cast on. I'll tell you then. But the thing that I'd like to make would be something that would be for the winter, but would take me a long time to knit because I'm planning to knit it on with a lace weight yarn. So this could be the perfect thing. So yes, I think it was almost one of those things that was meant to be when it came in the post, because I'd had this idea in my head about this, what I wanted to knit. And also perfect because even though it's the project I've got in my mind is planned to be a garment that I will wear when it's colder. Usually when you're planning a sort of winter or a cold weather garment, it usually involves chunky yarn or lots of big, sort of heavy wool sitting on your lap. But this of course wouldn't. It would be a very lightweight garment to knit, so it would be perfect for me to knit throughout the summer, ready for me to wear when it gets cooler in the autumn. And it's not going to be something that's going to be too hot to knit when it's sunny or too big to carry around, so perfect if I decide to do it. So thank you so much for Stamatia, is it? Please message me and tell me how to say your name for the lovely, lovely gift, and the lovely message that you sent me afterwards as well, with a beautiful little picture. I think you know which one I'm talking about. She's gorgeous. Maybe she's watching. You know who I mean. So that was a lovely, lovely surprise in the post. And then another thing that I got in the post. This is the last thing for post, I think, because then I'm going to go on to show you, what else have I got to show you? I've got a bit more knitting, a little bit of sewing, and then a sewing planned project to share with you. Oh, and the drawing. So, the other thing I got in the post, lovely, lovely, gorgeous package, is from Joanne. So, hello Joanne. All the way from Canada, and at the moment, it's probably drawing to a close, although I haven't actually said this on the Ravelry group yet, but I'm thinking maybe it's going to be in the next week or two that we'll draw it to a close. But we've been having a very small, quite sort of intimate little sock along. I kind of suggested it a few weeks ago because after getting back from Australia, I had found it really difficult to get back for some reason, to get the energy up to really to do anything. And one of the things I was finding it difficult was to do anything online. So for a while I wasn't on Instagram. I think I maybe watched a couple of podcasts. I certainly didn't do a podcast for a while. I was even finding it hard to spend time on things like Ravelry. And I don't know why, because all through being in Australia, I felt as if that's what I wanted to do as soon as I got back. I wanted to get the sewing machine out, get straight on with knitting, get straight back into the Ravelry group, and I found I just didn't have the energy to do it. Oh, postman's here. That's exciting. I don't know what he'll have brought today. Oh, I always try to think, what have I ordered when the postman arrives? Don't know. I think I've got a book coming in the post, so that could be exciting. Anyway, back on track. I kind of lost my mojo a little bit when I got back from Australia. I think I was just really tired. And I'm pretty sure I said this, but we kind of went for a lovely big break and a rest. But it turns out driving a camper van around Australia for a month is fabulous, but definitely not restful. Kind of is in one way, because it's a change from what you're doing normally. But obviously you're on the go all the time, in a very good way, in an exciting and fabulous way. But I definitely needed some time to recover when I got back, kind of physically and mentally, and get back into my sort of daily life and routine. So one of the things that I kind of thought to help me to get back into Ravelry was I reached out to the ladies. That's the postman going. That was a quick delivery. It's like post cam. Anyway, one of the things that I thought I kind of had the idea to help me to get back into Ravelry, into the swing of it. I kind of reached out to the ladies in the knit lounge, the lovely, lovely ladies in there, they're all so lovely and gorgeous, and said, help, I need some help getting back into Ravelry. Will anybody knit socks with me? Just do this mini little, very unofficial, intimate sock along, even if there was just 2 or 3 of us doing it. It would give me the motivation to just dip into Ravelry every few days and get myself back into it. And I got a lovely group of people who said, yeah, we'll knit socks with you. So because I didn't do a separate thread for it, I just kept it in the knit lounge. We didn't create a cowl thread as such, because I just wanted to keep it really unofficial and low-key. It was more of a therapeutic thing for me, really, just to kind of, can you all help me get back into Ravelry and knit socks with me? So I just kept it in the knit lounge so that I was minimising the things that I had to kind of look at and do in a way. I think psychologically it meant that if I could just dip into it in the knit lounge thread and not run a separate thread for it, it didn't feel like I was giving myself extra work. And also, the lovely Jo, another Jo, we've got Joanne, who I'm going to show you the things that she sent me, and then we've got the lovely Jo, who's in the UK. She agreed to help me run the Ravelry group a bit more and become a moderator, so that was again another sort of boost for me, just knowing that there's somebody else there looking after the group. And I mean, they look after themselves, you all look after yourselves because you're so fab, but yeah, it's just lovely to know that there's a couple of us kind of being there and responding and being present in the Ravelry group. And Jo is absolutely brilliant at doing that, because sometimes I can go for a few days without being in the Ravelry group because I get busy, or I don't know, sometimes it happens, I go for a few days and I feel a bit bad because I haven't been in the Ravelry group. But when I get back, everyone's just carrying on and knitting and chatting as normal, so I don't know why I worry about it, I shouldn't. Anyway, I'm going off at a tangent. So we had a small unofficial sock along, and I'll show you my socks in a second. They're nearly finished. Joanne, I didn't get them finished yesterday, but I will get them finished in the next few days, definitely. And we had the idea to do a mini sweep. So anybody that was knitting socks in the sock along could send me just one mini skein, or the equivalent of 20 grams, I think I said, at maximum. Send me a mini skein, and then we'll do a sweep. And everybody that sent me a mini skein, basically, only if you've sent a mini skein, that's who's going to be in the draw. Then I'll put them all together, and then I'll do names out of a hat kind of thing. I think it will be a names out of the hat because I haven't got a thread, so it won't be a random number generator. That's a hard thing to say. Names out of a hat, or mini skein out of the basket, however I'm going to do it. I'll show you the basket. The basket's not in the prize. This is a basket I got from Cape Verde, but I've been keeping the mini skeins in this little basket. So, and there's a little extra thing in there as well that I'm going to send. So we've had some lovely little mini skeins sent in by the people who are in the sock along, who have been doing that with me. It wasn't compulsory as well. You didn't have to send a mini skein if you were in the sock along, just if you wanted to join in with the mini sweep. So I think I've got them all in. I've got one more to come, which I know is on its way, and then I'll do the draw. And then whoever's name comes out of the hat, they will get all of the mini skeins and the little thing. I'll be sending a mini skein too. My name's not in the draw, by the way, so it's going to be one of the other ladies that wins. So they will get all of the mini skeins. So it's like like you do the football sweep or whatever. That's how it works. And then it occurred to me, because a couple of people that sent me the mini skeins said, if my name comes out the hat, don't send me mine back, just obviously you keep hold of that one. And I thought, I wonder if everybody would feel the same way. So it's quite possible that what I'll do is, whoever wins the sweep will get the majority of the mini skeins, except for the one you sent. I'll keep that one and then maybe do another draw and then send that one little one as a kind of a second prize and just send it to somebody else, whoever's name comes out the hat. I'll put that to the ladies in the Ravelry group because it all sounds quite complicated, but it's not, it's quite simple really. Anyway, all of that to say, I still haven't got round to the bit that I'm supposed to be telling you about. Joanne, lovely Joanne, Port Hardy one on Instagram, sent me her mini skeins all the way from Canada, but she also asked me if she could send a full skein of yarn for me to give away as a prize as well. And I said, thank you, that would be absolutely fabulous, I would love that. And so I got the most lovely package, and I was expecting, just because of what she'd said, one full skein, which was for me to use as a prize, and then her mini skeins for the sweep. But what did I get? I got 2 packages, a full one for me to keep, and then another package which included a beautiful skein of yarn, which I will show you when I decide to do the giveaway for that one, and lots of other beautiful, beautiful things in that package. So I've picked a couple of things out of the one that she sent for me to keep, big surprise, including, so I think I've got the yarn, the minis, and something really beautiful that she sent. There was a lot of lovely, beautiful things in that package, but this is the yarn that Joanne sent for me to keep for myself, which was amazing. And it's the first time I've ever had yarn from Wool and Vine yarns, so I'm very, very excited about that. I have heard and seen so much about this gorgeous yarn. I'll just, I think, no, I won't take it off, I'll just twist it round so you can see all the beautiful colours. It is the most gorgeous skein of yarn. It's beautiful. I love these greens and the purples and the blues. It's just got every colour under the sun. It's like a rainbow. It's just so beautiful. It's got teal, it's got browns, it's got all shades of purples and lavenders and pinks. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Now then, on the label it says Gatekeeper, so I don't know if that means the colourway or the base, but I'm thinking it means the colourway, because on the sticker it says Footsie, so I'm guessing it's sock yarn, and it's 80/20 superwash, blue face, Leicester and nylon, and there's 400 yards in there, so it's 2-ply sock fingering, so there's the information on the back. But I'm so excited to actually have a skein of Wool and Vine yarns, because all the big podcasters have got Wool and Vine yarns and I've never had any, so I think I'm kind of getting a little bit of a taste of what they've got. I'm really excited about that. So it's very, very, very hard not to actually immediately cast on another pair of socks straight away, but I'm being very, very good and disciplined, and I'm going to finish this pair that I'm going to show you in a minute first, and then pretty much I suspect I'm going to cast this yarn on into another pair of socks, because hand knit socks are amazing. So and she also sent me, these are for me to keep, some mini skeins, little beautiful mini skeins. They're so soft, so I think they're going to be absolutely fab. Maybe they're intended to use with this as heels, toes and cuffs. They would certainly go beautifully with it, absolutely brilliantly, so perhaps that's what I'll do. So that's really nice. I've got those little minis. My little mini stash is growing actually. And then, among lots of other lovely things, I got some lovely sweets, some lovely white chocolate which I gave to Avion because it's his favourite thing in the world. And when I get loads of packages, and Avion always goes, "Oh, is there anything for me?" Not in the packages, but in the post. And of course not, because if you don't order things, you don't get things. And he doesn't order things, but I think he sees me getting post all the time, and sometimes he can be disappointed when it's not for him. Anyway, white chocolate's his favourite thing in the world, so I asked Joanne, does she mind if I give that one to Avion, and he did, and he gobbled it all up. It was a sheep. And there were some other beautiful things in there, but this I thought I'd show you because it's so sweet, and I'm going to start using it today. It's perfect to have next to my computer. It's just what I need, and I think, is it a mug rug? I hope it is. If I'm wrong, and I definitely shouldn't put my mug on it, please tell me. but I think that's what it is. So it's really, really beautiful. It's just like a little tiny mini rug, and it's so cute. It's woven and it's just so gorgeous, and it's the first, I've never had one of these before, so I just think it's absolutely a lovely little piece of textile. So that is going to sit on my desk just over there, and where there is always a hot cup of something or other. So it's going to be my desk mug rug. So Joanne, thank you so much for that lovely package. And I think I will show you the other one, but it's in, I'm going to just give you a warning, it's in a crinkly wrapper. I'll very, very briefly just flash you the other package that Joanne sent, because it gives you an idea of how much she sent. And this is for me to use as a giveaway, and so in the very, very near future, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be deciding on a giveaway to do, whether it's going to be through the podcast or through the Ravelry group. I'm not sure, it'll probably be obviously both. So I'm going to decide on something, or maybe it'll be for a Cal. I don't know yet, because it's such a special package. I kind of feel as if we need a special occasion to do as a giveaway. So I'll just show you. Are you ready for the crinkling? I hate crinkling on podcasts, so I'm going to do it to you all. I'm going to hold it really still, and it's another Volumvine. Oh my god, this package just smells so gorgeous. I think it's the soap that smells so lovely in there. There's soap, there's a candle, there's some sweeties. It's just lovely. There's another white chocolate lamb, and there is this beautiful Volumvine yarn, which I'm hoping you can see through the crinkly packaging, but it's got sparkly stellina in it, and it's gorgeous. So, whoops. And that's the blitzed base. It's Gatekeeper colourway in the blitzed base, presumably because it's got the stellina in. So I'm just going to lay that on the floor and just stop the crinkling, but that is such an exciting little package, and it's going to be kept very, very safe. And in the very near future I shall be doing a giveaway, and that is going to be the prize. So that's really exciting, so a big thank you to Joanne for that. Right, let me just check if the camera's recording. Got this. Yes, I had an awful feeling that the camera wasn't recording and the last 20 minutes was just me talking to nobody. Okay, so sewing. I have been doing lots of sewing, and then I had to do a break of not doing any sewing because I ran out of labels and I ran out of my little tiny heart buttons. I got loads of stuff cut. I've got it here to show you. I've got a great big pile of stuff to do later on this afternoon. So this is my work for this afternoon, which makes me absolutely just smile and really feel joyful, because if that's my work for this afternoon, I'm going to have a lovely afternoon. It's project bags. I've got a few of these heartwood fabrics to sew up into project bags. This is the Heartwood range by Macawa, and as I mentioned, I think before, did I say it before earlier in the podcast? I've registered Loop and Bar as a business now, which I think is very exciting. It's a small business, it's something I'm going to do part-time from home because I still do go out to work part-time, but I thought in order to, okay, that was the camera that stopped recording, and now we're on again. So I was saying, yeah, I've registered Loop and Bar as a small business now. I've literally just done it last week online. Very exciting. So it's Loop and Bar Limited, and purely because I'm doing a lot on Etsy, and I wanted to, one of the reasons was because I really wanted to keep the finances separate, really, just from a practical point of view, in terms of keeping things tidy and making things a little bit more organised for me. So I decided to create a separate small business account through my own bank, and for that I believe you have to have registered your business. And I just found all of that extremely exciting, and after quite a bit of thought, I decided to go ahead and do it. And it's really quite simple to do, and it's not an expensive or too difficult process really. It's really quite simple, so I was able to do that. I've got to confirm the bank account tomorrow, which is the phone call that I'm expecting in the morning. So hopefully they'll just set all of that up for me, and I can start operating as a small business, albeit a small part-time business, and just see where it goes. So I've been quite busy doing all of that kind of thing, and I've got all of this stuff to sew up. But leading on from what I was saying, with the Heartwood range of fabric, I contacted the supplier directly. It's by Macawa, a company called Macawa, to ask whether I could purchase the fabric from them directly, because I wanted to buy in larger quantities. And absolutely heartbroken, but they've discontinued it. So this gorgeous fabric, which everybody has been loving, is no longer available. There are still some bits and bobs out there to be grabbed and snapped up, I believe, but basically once and also that includes this one. This one's been popular. I think it might be holding it upside down, but I love that one so much. I might have to make myself a bag and keep it out of that. I wanted to have curtains in that fabric and they've stopped making it. I can't believe it. And the blue, yeah, this blue one here as well. And I'll just show you that quickly. Oops. So it's the same. It's the Scenic range, but they've stopped doing it. I don't know why, because it's so beautiful, but maybe it's just like with everything in the design world. You have a certain run of something and then you move on because you make new designs. So I've got a few of those to make up in among, one, two, three, I don't know, I've got a few of those to do. Mostly it's the Heartwood range in there, a couple of Tildas. I can still get Tilda fabric, which is good, which is fabulous, because that's one of my favourite ranges as well. But those are going to be the last ones of the Heartwood range, which is really sad. But I did find some, I'm always looking for new fabric to use as well, because that's part of why I love making bags and sewing. The hunt for the fabric is just as exciting as actually using it. So I did find some other beautiful fabric which I've been putting on Instagram, and it's this Scandi bird. They're calling it Scandi kind of design. It's like this Scandinavian folk art. So I made up a sort of a mock bag. This one's not for sale. It was a trial, but this is basically some of the new fabric that I've found that I'm looking forward to maybe using. So I'm going to keep this one for myself. And these are my new labels as well. I've got these little tab style labels which I'm really enjoying. And I am putting, when I send out my bags or pouches, which I don't have one, I have got one, I could show you. I've been selling the Notions pouches as well on Etsy, which has been brilliant. They've been just flying out of the shop, and I'm loving it. So I love making them with the zips. Yeah, I love it, love it. So what I've been doing is, when I've been sending the bags out, now that I'm using these new labels, they're printed labels, not woven like the ones that I've been using previously. You can't iron them. You can iron the bags, you can iron the pouch, but you can't pass the iron over the label. And I do put a little card inside the bag and inside the pouch just to let you know. If for any reason you do need to give your bag or your pouch an iron, you probably won't need to. Just avoid the label completely, because it's printed. So just like if you've bought a t-shirt that's got a screen print on the front, you wouldn't iron over that bit. You just have to avoid the label part. You don't need to iron the labels, so that's okay. And I thought it was worth it to have the tab style ones, because I do think they look really lovely. So this is my first trial at a zip bag, and I really love it. I've just done that one with some canvas inside, and it gives it quite a bit of structure. And it's got a bit of detail on the zip, where I sewed a bit of Tilda fabric onto the zip before stitching the zip into the bag as normal. And then I got 3 different colourways in this fabric, so the other one was a different kind of blue, and I've experimented after making that one, and then I actually had a project in it. This has got like what do you call it? A door weight in it at the moment, just for the purpose of showing it with something in it. I had a jumper project in there and I picked it up, and I did think to myself, because I don't normally include handles on my bags, the drawstring ones kind of have got the handle in the drawstring really. Once you've pulled the drawstring it acts as a handle, so I've never really had to think about putting a handle on my bags, but I went to pick this one up and I did think to myself it would be a lot easier to carry around and just grab if it had some form of handle. So I experimented with the sort of tab style handle that comes out the side, and I wasn't sure if that suited it. So I had a go at doing a bag with a handle on the front, well, the back. So it's got a single, and I really am pleased with it. It's a contrasting handle, as you can see. This is a slightly lighter colour, teal blue, of the Scandi Birds with a zip top. And yeah, I put a handle on it because I just thought, actually you could hang it on the wall as well if you've got a hook with your project bags and things on. But you could just, yeah, it's just easy to pick it up and grab. And I just also think it made it look less plain, if you like, because it's all one fabric. It's all one fabric making up the bag. I just thought it'd be nice to have add a little bit of contrasting colour in there. So I've sewn the handle on sort of that style. I don't know what that style is. Tab style, is it? And I've only put it on one side because you only really need it on one side. It's never going to be too heavy what's in there, and it's quite a sturdy structure anyway. And in that one I've just done a contrasting spot fabric. So these are my trial bags, and I have got a mustardy coloured version of this fabric with grey birds on as well, which is equally beautiful. So I think that these are going to be making their way into the Etsy shop. Also, something to say is the zip bag that I've done is slightly larger than the drawstring bag that I'm still going to be doing. So you can fit, what have I got in this one? In this one I've got the jumper that I'm going to show you soon. Where have I put it? Yeah, it's behind me, it's okay. Half of the project is in here and some of it's on the ironing board. This is going to be, by the way, I think a long episode, but you know, I haven't done one for ages, so and I don't care. Maybe it's going to be 2 hours, who knows? I think it's going to be quite a long one, but anyway, you can fast forward bits if you don't really want to listen to stuff about bags or all the waffle that I do in between showing you things. So what was I saying? These are slightly larger. I haven't measured them once they've been made up yet, but the measurements will be on the Etsy page. So if you are interested in looking at these, keep your eyes on the Instagram feed, loopandbar.kb, and or on the Etsy shop. What I've been saying to people, because sometimes people find it hard to find the Etsy shop, if you go into Etsy and then search Loop and Bar, what is the Etsy shop called? Loop and Bar shop, all one word. The main thing to remember is type it in all as one word, all lowercase, because if you get one little character wrong, Etsy doesn't find it for you. So it's Loop and Bar shop. I think I'll put it here. The other thing to note is that if I haven't got anything listed, so if everything has sold out and there are no active listings in the Etsy shop, then Etsy won't find the shop for you. I do not know why they do that. There must be a good reason, but if you're in Etsy, searching in Etsy search bar and you've put everything in correctly and you still don't find my shop, it's probably because I haven't got anything listed. Maybe I'm yet to update, or perhaps everything just sold out. But the other way that you can find it is just go into the Google or whatever search engine you use, and just type in Loop and Bar on Etsy, and it should take you to the Etsy shop that way. Or I believe I now have a link on the Instagram. Thank you to Foxy Yarns for helping me with that one. I've been able to put a link on my profile on Instagram which will take you to the Etsy shop, and there might be one in the Ravelry as well. So there's different ways that you can find it, and if there's nothing listed there, you can always favourite it. I'm not sure how Etsy works in terms of, do you get alerts? Can you sign up for alerts? I'm not really sure. So that when I update you'll be alerted, I don't know. But if you keep your eye on the Instagram feed for Loop and Bar, I always put a prompt on there when I'm going to put things into the shop. So alongside the rest of the last of the heartwood, oh, I love it so much. There's about, I don't know how many bags there are there, I haven't counted. There's quite a few there, so that's going to take a while, maybe a week or so, to sew all of those up. There hopefully will be some slightly larger zip top as well, zippy top with handles, bags, project bags, and probably some more notions pouches, hopefully. And I have been able to fit a lightweight jumper, which I'll show you next actually, we'll move into that now. But my tummy's rumbling, I don't know if you can hear that because I'm quite hungry. In this bag, it's slightly larger than the drawstring bag, don't know the measurements yet, but you can fit certainly a largish, medium-ish shawl, maybe even a large one. And I'm carrying around my Carpino jumper, which I'm going to show you now, plus all of the yarn. So the whole project fits into here, everything that I need. So I've got all of that yarn. There's loads of it. This isn't even all of it, because some of it's in the jumper. So I've got all of that in there, plus the pattern. Earlier on as well, I did even have my needle case in there. My large interchangeable needle set even fitted in here, the Adiclix one, the whole thing. So you can get a lot in these bags actually, once you get it all in there. Okay, moving on to what I've been knitting. I'll just grab it. This has been another project that's been sitting and sitting, and I don't think I'll use the word languishing, even though I just did. I'm going to use the word patiently waiting, or, well, 2 words. It's been patiently waiting, and I have been knitting it. It's top down. It's the Carpino sweater. The yarn, I am totally, absolutely in love with. I want to marry it because it's the most amazing and magical colour, and it feels so soft and beautiful, and it's not even expensive. I don't mind buying expensive yarn. I don't think twice about spending quite a lot of money on yarn because it's a beautiful product, and I know what goes into producing beautiful yarn. But also, it's so lovely when you can make yourself a jumper that doesn't cost lots and lots of money too, because that's good for your bank account. So this yarn, I've shown you this before, but it's a long time since I've shown it, so I'm just going to do a recap. You might be new to the podcast, or you might have just forgotten that I was even knitting this, because I nearly did. So it's the Drops Alpaca Mix. That's the yarn I'm using, and it's in the colourway, I believe it's called Petrol, but it doesn't say on the label. I think it's called, I think it's Petrol, the colourway. And it's the most absolutely gorgeous, hopefully you can see it. A beautiful blend of, does look like when you've got a pool of petrol on the road and you get that sort of iridescent lovely rainbow coming through. It's blue and green basically, but it's almost shines and glimmers. So here's what I've done so far. I think the last time I showed you, I didn't go back through my podcasts to check, and I haven't kept a progress keeper on, which was not very clever. But I'm pretty sure the last time I showed you I might have been just have separated the arms and just started a little bit of the body. So this is where I'm at right now. I've knit all of the body. I tried it on this morning. Up until this morning, I suspect this is one of the reasons why it's been sitting for so long. I've been knitting it on a small circular needle, not having to do magic loop, and of course it's all been bunched up, so there's no way that I've been able to try it on until now. And the thought and the prospect of sitting down, and really in reality it's a 2-minute job, putting the project onto 2 larger needles to allow me to put it on and see how far down it is on my body, I think has put me off. I just didn't want to do that 2-minute job in order to carry on with the jump for some reason. I don't know why. So I just decided to go for it this morning because I wanted to be able to show you how much I've knitted and try it on. And I've just literally become so excited about it all over again that I'm probably going to knit this. I'm going to finish those socks that I'm going to show you in a minute, and then this is going to be the next thing that I'm going to really charge on with and absolutely get finished. So this is my Carpino. My best friend Emily knit one of these in a beautiful rust orange in the same yarn, and that's what inspired me to cast my own on because hers was so beautiful. And there's the absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous lace texture pattern on the front. It's the most lovely, lovely lace texture pattern to use ever. It's really simple. It's something like a 4-stitch repeat, I think, over 4 rows. And it's very, very easy to learn, and I'm not usually somebody who you will hear saying, oh yes, that lace pattern was really easy to learn, because I don't generally learn things like that. I have to sit and study the stitches as I'm knitting them. But this one, as long as I've got it in front of me to prompt me, I can, as soon as I've got going on the row, that's it, I can knit the whole row, and then I just need to check quickly what the next row is, and then I can knit it without looking. So it's really, I can do this in front of the TV. So for me, that's quite good. That means it's simple lace, and yet it looks so beautiful. I'll just do that so that you might be able to see it a little bit better. Now I'm going to actually put it on, because I want you to see what it looks like on. I'll just take my featherweight off. I've been wearing this featherweight. I've got to get this finished so that I can stop wearing the featherweight every single day because I'm wearing it out. I'm in danger of not having a featherweight very soon because there won't be anything of it left. I'm loving that featherweight, by the way. It's just the most lovely cardigan. So this is as much as I've done. Let me just make sure I've not lost any. Oh, hang on. No, it's okay. We're okay. I've got it on 2 needles here. Right, hopefully that was my ankle cracking. I don't know if I need to bend down. I've got no idea because I don't know what you can see, but this is it. I'll just stand here and turn around a bit and hope to goodness that you can see the jumper. I probably look silly because I'm bending my legs. I'll come a bit closer so you can see the... It's all guesswork really what you're seeing. I was worried that that I hadn't made it big enough under the arms, but I think having it on now it feels absolutely fine. I feel like I've got myself very tangled up here. It feels lovely and warm, but it's lightweight, so this is the perfect late spring, early summer jumper for me, especially once the arms are on it. And I feel as if I have got far enough down now so that I can put the ribbing on, because the next stage is to do some ribbing at the bottom here. One thing that I've noticed for me is when I'm knitting jumpers, a few jumpers that I've knitted, I've done them too short, even though I think I've got to the right stage. I've actually ended up making them a bit too short, so I really don't want to do that with this jumper. I'd rather have it a bit long, because at the end of the day a longer jumper is only going to keep you warmer. If you knit it too short, I end up with a chilly bit around here. I'd much rather have a slightly longer jumper, so I might knit another 1/2 inch and then do the rib. But yeah, I think one of the main reasons that I haven't done anything on this as well is because I didn't want to do that 2-minute job of putting it onto the long needles so that I could try it on and see how long it was. And that was preventing me from obviously going ahead and doing the ribbing, because I didn't want to do that before checking what the length was. So I feel as if I've moved a mountain this morning by just putting it on these needles and just holding it again and handling this project and this yarn and trying it on and seeing how it's going to be, and knowing that I'm going to have this beautiful jumper if I only just get on with it and knit it, is making me just really want to get on with it and knit it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So that's my Carpino. I'm trying to think who the designer is. Have I got the pattern in here? Yes, let me just tell you who it's by. I don't know if I can. I used to know, but I've forgotten because it's so long since I've knitted it. By Carol Feller. And I'd forgotten this, but in the pattern it's a 3/4 length sleeve, but I bought extra yarn because I want to do full length sleeves. What I end up doing usually when I've got full length sleeves is what I've done with this one, and I roll the sleeves up so they're not in my way. But I like having the option of having the sleeves full length because I do feel the cold. I get chilly really quickly, so, and if I'm going to put a coat on over it as well, I want to be able to put my sleeves, make them longer. So, but as you can see, what I normally do straight away is fold up my sleeves, but I quite like the look of that as well. So I'm really pleased with that. Right, socks. Let's get on with the socks. So that's my Carpino sweater, and I think that the next time I show you that is going to be finished. I won't show you it until I've done it now, because basically it's just a bit of ribbing around the bottom and then the sleeves. That probably won't be very interesting if I keep showing you just inches of sleeves being knit. So the next time you see that, and hopefully it's not going to be too long, maybe 1 or 2 episodes down the line, that is going to be finished and I'll be wearing it. So that's very exciting. Okay, here is my sock project. In the last episode, in the last podcast episode, I showed you some beautiful yarn that I was sent, that I won in a giveaway. It came all the way from Australia, by Circus Tonic Handmade. And this is the yarn, and I don't believe I still have the label, or do I? Whoops, there's the yarn. No, I don't think I've got the label anymore. It's by Circus Tonic Handmade, and I think the colourway is Augustus Buxifolia. I think I've got the first bit wrong. I'm just going to pop a bit of lip balm on. I've just realised I've got lip balm in my bag there. Molly from the Homespun House does this quite often, and I thought, you know what, if Molly can put lip balm on while she's podcasting, so can I. That smells gorgeous. It's the Vaseline one with aloe vera. It's absolutely lovely. Okay, so, and I couldn't wait to cast on some socks with this. So these are what I've been knitting for my little intimate, unofficial, get Kate back into the swing of things sock along on Ravelry in the Knit Lounge. And this is my progress so far. They're very nearly finished. So, ta-da! It's not really da-da because they're not finished, but anyway, there they are. This is the one that's, all I've got to do is graft the toes at the end. So I've got them on little stitch holders. Well, actually they're stitch markers, but I'm not going to use the sock chimney method, which I showed you in my last podcast episode, because in actual fact it created a little bit of a ridge. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you pop back to episode 22, I'll show you a pair of socks there that I completed, and I believe I'm wearing now. Would it be gross if I took them off and showed you the end? I've got these socks on now. I've been loving wearing these. They're absolutely gorgeous. Right, please excuse any dog hairs that are stuck to them because I've just took it off my foot, which is probably a bit gross. Anyway, I don't really care. So that's the one that I knitted and showed in my last podcast. And I don't know if I'd already done it, but I was about to do a toe graft using a sock chimney, which is an extra bit that you knit on here, like a tube, and then you turn it in and it allows you to do a graft, a nice neat graft. But to be honest with you, I've kind of worn it out a little bit now, you can't see it so much, but I did still get, I think, a little bit of the ears, the sock ears. And sorry, because these are not, this is a tiny bit gross that I've just took them off my feet to show you, but I I very nearly sniffed it then, but I'm not going to do that on the podcast. But on the inside, it looks okay on the outside, the graft. But on the inside, and this is using the sock chimney method, I don't know how well you can tell, but there is actually a little ridge. And actually, thinking about it, it bothered me at first, but I don't think I can feel it anymore. Just put this back on, because my feet are a bit chilly. But I want to avoid that, so I don't think I'm going to use the sock chimney. And to be honest with you, it's extra knitting at the end of your socks, so why would you do that? I thought I dropped my sock then. So I'm just going to graft this, I'm just going to Kitchener it, but I have to look up on YouTube and follow a tutorial for that, because I don't know how to do it without looking. So that's all I've got to do on that sock. Just finish off grafting. And just stitch together this bit, because whenever I do my socks, I've done cuff down so far, I like to do the cuff backwards and forwards flat and then join it in the round at about there. I hate joining in the round straight away because it's too fiddly and I haven't got the patience, and I quite like just starting off by going backwards and forwards for a little bit. I get a much neater finish doing it that way. And it's got the slip stitch heel, which this time round I did it the right way round. I didn't knit it inside out, so I'm quite pleased about that. I just love the colours of this yarn, they're so gorgeous. And it's a heel flap and gusset, I think that's what we call it. And the pattern is, where is the bag? I've literally just got stuff strewn around me now. It's going to be a big mess to tidy up after podcasting. I saw the lovely Jules, hello Jules, on the So Sweet Violet podcast. She knitted these, or she was starting knitting them quite a few podcast episodes ago, because I was doing some catch-up podcast watching, so not in the most recent episode, but a few episodes ago. Jules was knitting, or had shown a pair of these, and it's the why am I not more organised? It's the Prairie Socks, and the pattern's by Kay Jones, who does the Bakery Bears podcast. I haven't got into the Bakery Bears podcast. I've seen a little bit of it. I know she's really lovely and really popular, but I've got a few podcasts that I watch religiously, and that's not one of the ones that I've got into, but maybe I will. I think there's room for another podcast, so I'll perhaps maybe give it another look. But I know that she is really popular, her and her husband, whose name I'm not sure of, but she does her podcast with her husband, and I know that people really enjoy that podcast, so I think it's definitely one worth checking out if you're looking for a new podcast. And I'll just show you the picture of the pattern. This isn't giving anything away because it's only the front page of the pattern. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry, and it's the Prairie Socks. And I think what attracted me to doing this particular pattern was there's texture, but it's simple. And I'm telling you, this is simple as well. I mean, it's a lovely little stitch to do, but you get this beautiful texture all down your sock. And it's really simple. And again, I can do this while I'm watching the TV. I don't get distracted. I don't have to concentrate too much to do it. And it's quite forgiving. If you go wrong a little bit somewhere, you know, it's quite forgiving. I think especially when you're using a variegated yarn like this. And the other thing was I wanted to knit a sock with a bit of a texture that wouldn't take away from the different colours in the yarn. So that's the plain stocking, which is on the bottom of the foot. Those are all the colours in the yarn. But you still see all of those, and you still get to see the texture. Right, we're on our third, no, I think we might be on our fourth half an hour of camera recording, so this is a long podcast. Anyway, so those are my socks. That's the second one. I've just started the toe decreases. I'm using my Higher Sharps magic loop, which I love for sock knitting, and I've literally just started the toe decreases, so I've got about 2 inches of knitting to do, decreasing, and then I'll be at the end, and then I will have another pair of socks, which is very exciting. and they fit perfectly actually. I was a bit worried at first, I thought I'd done them a bit small, but in actual fact the ones that I've just, when I took that one off my foot and showed you, having worn it for a while, it has stretched out slightly, and it's not too big because it's still, well, it's not too big, but it could probably do with being a few stitches smaller for a slightly snugger fit. But I'm okay with it because I actually usually put them on over another pair of socks as well, so that doesn't matter that the ones on my feet are slightly a bit bigger. But I really love the fact that these are quite snug, and they probably will stretch out slightly after a bit of wear as well, so I think that they are actually the perfect size. And I've knitted the second size, so if you do have a look at the Prairie Socks pattern, the first thing I did was to cast on the smallest size, because if I'm choosing clothes, usually I default to the smallest size because I've got very small proportions. And I did that with the socks without even thinking that usually in socks you get child size, women's size and then men's size. So of course I started knitting the smallest size and started realising this is way too small because I was knitting the child size, presumably. It doesn't say that in the pattern, but I think that's what it is. So I pulled it out and I cast on the second size up, and that is the perfect size for me. So, and I'm using, I think I'm using the size that it tells you of needle, although it doesn't say on my needle. Oh yes it does, hang on. 2.25 higher sharps. I really like the gauge that you get with that for socks. So that's my socks, they'll be definitely finished. I think you've seen them, they're pretty much finished. I might not show you them finished in the next episode. I might just post a picture on, well I will definitely put it on Ravelry because that's for my sock along, and I'll put it on Instagram as well just to show off my new pair of finished socks. Very, very quickly, before I show you a bit of drawing to finish with, I'll just quickly slip this in because I remember saying on my last podcast, I think it was, or it might have been the one before that, I have made a couple of goals for myself for this year. One of them was, I'm just going to read off the wall because it's on there. Oh yeah, to build on the Etsy shop, which I think I'm doing. I really feel as if I am actually working on that goal because I've been making bags and selling them. I've been finding more fabric and trying out a couple of different new styles, and I've added in the notions pouches now, which is definitely building on the shop, and especially registering as a company. I feel as if that's really making a step towards doing that too, so I feel really good about that particular goal because it's still quite early in the year, so I can pat myself on the back about that one. And one of the other things I wanted to do this year is to make a pair of trousers for myself. I know how to pattern draft, so I can draft the pattern, but I do not know anything about the construction of trousers because I've never made a pair of trousers before. I know how to put zips in, but I've never made a fly, so I'm definitely not going to attempt that without first of all trying a commercial pattern, because you can learn a lot from using a commercial pattern. And so what I'm hoping to learn is the construction method of making a pair of trousers. So I've got this, and I can't even remember when I bought this. It's at least a year ago. It might be 2 years ago, but I've got this Simplicity pattern, and it's just a pair of kind of wide leg trousers. I'll be making the view C. I'll show you this side. So the one in the middle, which is just plain wide leg trousers, or just sort of, yeah, I think that's the one without the turn-ups. I don't think they've got pockets on the back, but once I've got the main construction under my belt, I think I won't have a problem with putting pockets in if I want to make another pair after this. So that's the pattern I'm going to use. I haven't done anything on this yet. I haven't even really read through the pattern, so that is just literally a project in the pipeline. Hopefully over the next couple of weeks I can start it. And I've got this curtain. It's plain grey, it's just plain grey fabric. It was an IKEA curtain. We haven't used these because basically when I moved in with Avion, he had some packets of curtains from IKEA that were in the plainest colours, this grey and this sort of other like beigey ones that he'd been with his sister to IKEA, got a load of curtains, just bought sort of like the cheapest ones really, and the plainest ones just to put up at windows, never even took them out the packets. And then I came along and made all sorts of lovely flowery curtains and put them everywhere. And all of this went into my stash because I thought that'll be handy one day to make things like, well, and all sorts of different things from. So I'm definitely going to use that as a toile to have a go at making my first pair of trousers because it's just the ideal kind of weight. It's a heavy cotton. My eventual goal is that for the winter I will be able to make myself a really beautifully tailored pair of wool fabric trousers to keep me very warm through the winter. And I would like to make a tunic, a bit like the one I'm wearing, but better fitting. This is just bought from the white stuff and it's too big for me, but I just really love wearing it because it keeps my thighs nice and warm. But I'm going to take inspiration from the shape of this and the fact that it's got lovely big pockets in the front, and also make like a tunic style shirt dress thing. But first of all I'm going to be making these trousers, so wish me luck with this. Wish me lots of luck because I've never made trousers before, and I think the thing that I'm most concerned about being able to get right is the fitting, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to use that horrible word, but this bit here, that bit there is always too long for me. I have to buy petite sized clothes because I'm short this way, and proportionally I'm quite small, so I do find it really hard to find really nice trousers that I want to wear in the style that I like that will fit me, because I've got quite a bit of weight on my thighs. I'm a funny little sort of shape really. I like the shape of my body. I wouldn't wish for anything else. I'm really happy with my body shape. I'm really pleased to be able to say that, because yeah, I think it's not, you know, it's sad if people aren't happy with the shapes of their body, and I didn't always used to be. When I was younger, of course, I was a lot more self-conscious. I'm really happy with the shape of my body. I'm just thankful to have a body that works and that's healthy, and so I've got no complaints about that. But I do, if I want to have a more diverse wardrobe, I need to know how to make my own clothes to fit my body, so that I get clothes that flatter me instead of making me look like I've got my mum's trousers on, you know. So yeah, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get that right. It's the fit and the kind of the drape that I'm a bit worried about, if getting it right, when you factor in all those bits like the difficult seams, curved seams, and the fly front and things like that. So I'll keep you posted on how that's going. Maybe by the next episode I'll have something to show you on that. And the last thing that I'm going to very quickly show you, in my sadness of discovering that the Heartwood range of fabric was going to be discontinued and I wouldn't be able to get that anymore. And this is something that I've been wanting to do for ages. It's been in the back of my mind. I've got an art background. I have got a degree in graphic arts and design, which I got years ago. And I kind of have wanted to rekindle that sort of... I used to do life drawing as well, which I haven't done for a long time. It's the most relaxing thing that I can ever do in the world. You know, forget yoga, although yoga's brilliant and I really need to start that. Meditation, something that I'd love to do. I know I need to do it, but I just don't seem to be able to sit down and do it. If I have a pencil and an easel and something in front of me and draw, that's when I'm at my most relaxed, and I need to probably get back into doing a little bit of that. So I've wanted to do something like this for a long time. I started doing a little bit of sketching. I've had some ideas going around in my head for months and months and months, and with a view to creating a few designs to put onto fabrics, whether it's to, and maybe to use as prints as well, with a view to using them for the bags, and also possibly just printing the fabric. I'm not sure, but at the moment the idea is that these designs are going to be used for future Lupin Bar bags, and possibly some framed prints maybe, but fabric is what I'm thinking, printing this onto fabric. So I did some sketching. The main thing that I want, and being nosy looking out the windows, people driving past, the main thing I wanted to incorporate was sort of British wildlife and woodland, those are the things that, folk art, I'm really inspired by that. I'm heavily inspired by the fabrics I've been using lately, which you'll see coming through, I think, in what I'm going to show you now. I've taken elements of the things that I love about those designs, and just by the season around me at the moment, the beautiful spring, the beautiful bird song, everything that's going on outside the window at the moment, all of that's just been making me feel so really inspired and really kind of joyful. And I wanted to put that together somehow into a sort of folk style design of illustration with a view to using it for the Lupin Bar bags. So I started with a very small and simple sketch of a fox, just quite a wistful little fox. I basically put into Google fox and looked on Google Images, and there were lots of photographs of different foxes in different positions, with some of foxes leaping in the snow, but this one I fell in love with, so I did a little sketch of it. I used it as the inspiration and did a little sketch. A really simple, just sort of outline, line drawing. And then I wanted to create a sort of folk pattern, an almost landscape around the fox. So I started by doing some little sketches of flowers. One of the favourite flowers that I looked through my Lupin Bar. I've still got my blog, surprisingly, because I don't do anything on that, but there's a section there that shows my garden and flowers from my garden. And one of my favourite photographs on there is the astrantia flower. And so I did a few little sketches of that and sort of incorporated it in with the fox. I quite like these fluid, round, sort of flowing movements of elements of in illustration. So I just put some stuff together basically. I used a pen as well, so that I wasn't afraid to just put some marks down on the paper. Here's a blown up version of that. I thought if I used a pencil I would be in danger of rubbing things out constantly and not getting something that I could look at and judge and play with and decide what I liked about it and what I didn't, because if you erase things as you go along, then you can't later on decide whether you like it or not. And all of that has culminated in, and this is still in the design stages, this is not a finished by any means, it's sort of developed into what you see here. So you've got the fox, and I wanted a landscape. I wanted to incorporate a building which would represent our house on the farm, and these hills represent what I see when I'm walking Charlie. And we've got beautiful, shrubs and foliage around the farm, all along the rivers and the tracks, and they've got these catkins and these buds and these beautiful leaves bursting into life at the moment. So I just wanted to sketch a very simple representation that would stand for that. And of course the swallows have arrived. These are extremely, I need to work more on my swallows, but these represent the swallows. And the blossom, this here, in the early spring, when all of the delicate blossom is on the trees and you'll get a gust of wind and it all blows off the trees, it looks like it's snowing in the middle of spring, and it's so beautiful. And the way that it just moves around on the breeze, I just think is so absolutely lovely. So I wanted to capture that as well, to get that element of sort of blossom snowing in the spring. I sort of refined the sketch a little bit more here, but I still want to do more work. There are areas where I need to add things in and maybe change things a little bit. And then I wanted to put some animal tracks, because to represent a bit more of the wildlife. And these are the tracks of the hare. And we've got hares all over the farm, and they're beautiful. And every time I walk Charlie, we see a hare running and bounding over the fields. And last winter I photographed some hare tracks in the snow, and they look so beautiful, and me and Charlie were following them up the cow track, so that's kind of what this bit here represents. Just a little bit about what the animals that we see when we're going out on our walks. So I just wanted to do sort of an illustration that encompassed all the things I love about pattern and design. I love the folk element, I love the element of bringing in wildlife, the things that make me happy, everything kind of bundled into one sort of flowing image really, to, I suppose, capture what I'm feeling in these weeks of this lovely sort of spring season. So, and of course I'm trying to make it into the roughly the proportion for the overall image that will sit nicely onto the front of a bag. So that's very exciting. I've been loving doing that, and that needs a lot more work. That's just one of the sort of drafts, if you like, that you've seen. So if you maybe keep your eye on the Instagram feed, I might show a bit of progress on that. Also looking into getting a screen print, a silk screen. You can order them pre-exposed, so once I've finalised my image and I'm happy with it, I'm intending to screen print at home onto fabric. And I don't have the equipment here. I know how to do it because I used to work, I used to be a technician in an art college, and I used to have access to all of this equipment, but I don't anymore, which is sad. But I do know that I can send an image off to a company and have a silk screen made up with the image exposed already onto it. So as long as I get that part done by someone else, I'll be able to screen print at home onto the fabric. So watch this space. I'm really excited to be able to sort of go on a little adventure of screen printing and designing, and sharing that with you on the podcast as well. And I might do a few simpler sort of pattern style prints as well to use on fabrics. I really love the idea of using my own designs, as well as still looking for and sourcing using the Tilda fabrics, which I really love. I'm going to try and look for some other beautiful fabrics, including the Scandi birds that I've been using. And yeah, so yeah, building on the Etsy shop, building on some ideas and doing some more in that direction. So just thought I'd share that with you. Okay, it's definitely time to wrap things up, because this is a really long podcast and I really need a drink. And yeah, I probably need to start uploading all of this so that I can edit it and get it out there. I don't know if there's anything else that I thought I wanted to talk about. I'm sure there's something else I wanted to mention, but I can't remember. So I shall write it down and put it in the next podcast if that's the case. So I want to wish you all a very, very lovely, happy week of doing lovely things, hopefully, or at least a few lovely things dotted around in your week. I want to say thank you to the lovely ladies in the Knit Lounge who have been doing my sock along with me, joining in with the sock along. We'll draw for the mini sweep, I think, in the next few days. I'll pop something on the Ravelry in the Knit Lounge just to remind anybody. If there's anybody else who's been joining in with the sock along and still would like to send in a skein, let me know and I'll hold fire. But I think we've got them all in now, so I'll draw for that. And wish me luck with my trousers, because I think I need it. Have a lovely week. It's been so lovely talking and catching up, and I definitely needed to do that and just show you all the stuff that I've been working on. I really feel that I can now get a cup of hot chocolate, that's my choice of drink at the moment, and just sit and sew through all of those lovely bags, and in the next few days get those out into the Etsy shop. So I'll put some prompts out on Instagram for that too. Thank you so much for watching, if you're still with me. And yeah, I will see you in the next episode, hopefully. Have a lovely week. Bye bye.